Hey, hi, hello, welcome to the show. This is Frank Kozik. He was known for making posters for rock and roll bands. If he drew a poster for your band, that probably means that you guys made it. Congratulations. As a visual artist in and around the rock world, Frank had more clout than about 90% of the musicians in the industry. Today, we're going to analyze the work and legacy of one of rock's most sought-after screen printing illustrators. I'm testing a theory though. YouTube seems to push videos that people thank me for, so even if you don't appreciate this video, say thank you for the video in the comments, and let's see what happens. Okay, 1962. Frank Kozik was born in Spain to a Spanish mother and an American serviceman. His parents divorced before he was born, and he spent his early life in Spain. 1976. Kozik moved to California to live with his dad. At 18, he dropped out of school to join the Air Force, where he was stationed in Texas. That is where he eventually settled. In the 80s, Kozik began getting involved in the underground rock world. In order to engage with the culture, Kozik began making posters for local gigs. In 1987, he did a series of posters for the Cave Club in Austin, Texas, for acts like DJ Phil Owen, Butthole Surfers, Lords of the New Church, among others. These first posters were crude and disturbing screen-printed illustrations in black and white. The only exception being this Butthole Surfer one, which had a big splash of Volt green. This touch of Volt would be the genesis of how Kozik would approach color. Kozik would design posters for Texas shows for the next few years. While everyone was making tiny little handbills, Kozik was making giant screen-printed posters. His visual identity of using anthropomorphic animals and neon colors wouldn't fully develop until about 1992. He kept banging out artwork until he eventually pulled out another classic trait that we now associate with Kozik's work. That would be the use of unlicensed, world-famous cartoon characters. Hanna-Barbera, Warner, Disney. No one was safe from getting Kozik. People all over the rock world were now getting hip to Kozik's work. During the 90s, he did posters for Ice-T, Body Count, L7, Helmet, 7 Year Bitch, Soundgarden, the Melvins, Pearl Jam, and so many more. His work is psychedelic and violent in a way that turns heads with every new piece. Kozik took the simple act of promoting a band's gig and elevated it to a genuinely artistic place. His work is unique, distinguishable, provocative, and radical. It evokes a wide range of emotions the way any good artwork does, and it's quote-unquote just gig posters. The New York Times calls Kozik the Andy Warhol of punk, but to me, he's so much more than that. I get the comparison, sure. Kozik is a screen printer who screen printed recognizable figures and hobnobbed with all the tippy-top figures in the artistic scene that he was a part of. To me, Kozik's work has more artistic credibility than Warhol's ever did. But admittedly, I'm biased. Kozik has a broader body of work with far more thematic breadth. To me, Kozik's work is much more fun and engaging than anything Warhol did. Warhol is merely 100 rungs higher on the social ladder than Kozik, a ladder which Kozik had no interest in climbing, mind you. Kozik wanted to enhance the music scene and culture that he was a part of, and he made it so much farther than most everyone else in the medium. A few of his pieces from this time include Dr. Spock injecting an eyeball with something, a big green beast about to feast on a couple children, a Nazi punk Fred Flintstone daydreaming about sexy devils, a five-eyed disco fox for the dwarves, a child soldier for Helmet, conjoined twins for Sonic Youth, a coy pig with a bloody knife behind his back in front of an iron cross, and Hitler with big teary anime eyes. And that was just a handful of the posters from the year 1992. Kozik was one hell of a prolific screen printer, and he was basically just getting started in 1992. Kozik also designed for a couple album covers. While primarily a poster and promo guy, a couple bands are lucky enough to have album art done by him. I don't want to go over every single album cover he did, but most famously, he did the artwork for Houdini by the Melvins. Less famously, he did work for a plethora of underground bands, including The Outside Inside, Dale Crover, Purvis, Bark Market, The Tards, and more. Kozik would keep building upon his legacy through the 90s. His posters were bigger and better and more vibrant than ever. He was now getting commissioned by all the big touring rock acts, including Iggy Pop, House of Pain, the Barracudas, Butthole Surfers, Neil Young, Pearl Jam, Blind Melon, and Nirvana. Those are some of the biggest names in music, not only of the 90s, but of all time. By 1994, Kozik was a go-to guy for rock posters. If there was any doubt of the reach Kozik was getting just by making posters, here's one he did for Frank Sinatra when Old Blue Eyes played Vegas in '94. You may recognize this image on this poster advertising Ritual Device at the Capitol Bar and Grill. That's because it was used 5 years later for the international #1 best-selling album, Americana by The Offspring. I bet you didn't know it was on a flyer for an underground bar gig before it was repurposed in the late 90s for a top 40 pop-punk album. Kozik also did artwork for the singles off Americana, including Pretty Fly for a White Guy, Why Don't You Get a Job, The Kids Aren't Alright, and She's Got Issues. I like the album art so much more than the music housed within. I'll tell you that much for free. I especially like the outfit on The Fly White Boy. Another album he did from this time that I personally listened to a lot back in the day was Apocalypse Dudes by Turbo Negro. Straight up rock and roll goodness. I only listened to that band for about 6 months back then, but what a tremendous 6 months it was. Now I'm gonna hit you with my top 10 Frank Kozik art pieces. Number 10, State of the Guart Art Show at Art Rock, San Francisco, California. This poster was printed on white stock and measures approximately 17.5 inches by 22 inches. And on it we see this little trap that this monster has set for these squirrels to go through. He's advertising free nuts, but he's obviously gonna eat these little squirrels. Number 9, Cows at 7th Street Entry, Minneapolis, Minnesota, October 3rd through 4th, 1992. It's got this naked hillbilly drunk as a blizzard riding a pig. I'm a big fan of this illustration style. Number 8, the Barracudas at the Revolver Club, Madrid, Spain. Same paper, same size. And on it, we got Archie, world famous unlicensed Archie, drunk as a skunk. He's got an angel of Jughead on one shoulder and giant devil Jughead on the other, and he's dreaming of, who is that, Veronica? Number 7, Ice-T at the Vatican, Houston, Texas, March 17th, 1992. On it, we see the American flag if the Nazis won World War II, and we got a very political cartoon being depicted here. Very much appropriate for Ice-T and body count. Number 6, Que Dios no Perone, I Am the King of Sleep, No Band Association, 1988. Printed on white stock and measures 25.5 by 25. I love the use of crazy colors and patterns on this thing. The Japanese text at the bottom amps this piece to 1,000,000. This is some fresh artwork, not gonna lie. Number 5, Crust and ST37 at Main Street, Austin, Texas, April 11th, 1992. Depicting JFK on his most famous day. Number 4, Beastie Boys at Sportovny Hall, Prague, Czech Republic. Number 3, Love Battery at the Uptown Bar, Minneapolis, Minnesota, April 5th, 1992. Check out this illustration of this crazy rabbit. All he can think of is getting his hands on these carrots, but he's got needles sticking into him and a bunch of pills going everywhere, a bunch of eggs going everywhere. But what I love about this illustration is the car itself. The vehicle is incredible, and we see Jesus crucifixed to the ground here. Number 2, Rocket from the Crypt. This illustration is something else. Oh my god. I love this monster. I love this airplane. And my favorite, and I think the most provocative piece that he did, is for the Melvins at First Avenue in Minneapolis, Minnesota, featuring this naked devil lady on top of Jesus Christ, about to stab him with her pitchfork, a swastika on her crotch, looking dead into the camera and telling us, hey, what can I say? It's a living. Out of all the images that he's created, I think that this one is the most head-turning. You see, this guy wasn't afraid to cover all the sensitive topics. Topics like religion, topics like politics. He was going there, and it was just to make people go to rock and roll shows. You gotta love it. Narrowing it down to 10 was kinda redundant. I just wanted to display a variety of his work in a way that would illustrate his visual identity and how it connects. Kozik changed the way artists made flyers, and he helped inspire a whole art movement. I will not be able to use words to describe his impact on art, music, and culture. He was much more than the punk Warhol. I would argue Kozik's work has even more influence than that of Warhol's. He just wasn't quite as famous because his subjects weren't as famous. Kozik changed the medium he was a part of. Warhol just leached off of it. And everything I'm saying right now is unnecessary stuff to say. The only reason why I mention it is because of that New York Times article that made the unfair comparison between the two screen printers. They're not even in the same conversation. Genuinely. Kozik kept making art until his untimely passing at the age of 61 in the year 2023. He got really into making toys of his iconic characters in his later years. He was active on Instagram, and it was a blessing for his fans to get to see that side of him. The motorcycle riding, cat loving human being that he was. Rest easy, Frank Kozik. I will imbue my work with inspiration from yours. Thank you, goodbye, see you later, and have a good one.